Hello, everybody, and a warm welcome to everyone here today to our hosting communities of practice on this topic, mastering emotional intelligence for personal and professional success. I'm Anjali Joseph Martin, your host today, representing Agile People Ops. Thank you, everyone, for joining this session. This will be held every second Wednesday of the month, and it provides opportunities for personal and professional growth while redefining how we learn together. Let's welcome Sonam Arya Gulati, a passionate self-discovery coach dedicated to empowering individuals to unlock their true potential. With over 12 years of experience, Sonam is an ICF certified coach, image consultant, and NLP practitioner, combining these disciplines to create transformative coaching experiences. Sonam believes that true transformation begins with understanding our own beliefs and patterns. Let's get ready for a great session. Please feel free to put in your questions into the Q&A box or in the chat box. We'll address them at the end of the session. This is being recorded, and you can refer this at a later stage as well. Over to you, Sonam.
Thank you so much, Anjali. So a very warm welcome to all of you who are here today. As Anjali shared, we're going to be talking about mastering emotional intelligence today. So emotional intelligence is more important than what IQ is. It says it's at least twice more important these days. So why do you think that started happening? Wasn't just the technical skills that one needed enough for a job, that now we're talking about emotional intelligence and how it's so important. So yes, that is a fact. Emotional intelligence is more important than the IQ one possesses, than the technical skills one possesses. It's at least twice more important. There have been a lot of surveys that have been done regarding this, and emotions conquer all. So why do you think that's the case? Emotions are everywhere. You're happy, that's an emotion. You're sad, that's an emotion. You're angry, that's an emotion. You're frustrated, that's an emotion. How we feel impacts how we perform, how we behave with others. Everything is impacted together. And that is why we say that its emotions are everywhere. Whatever we feel, that impacts how we eventually behave and perform where we are, how we interact with those around us, which is why we say that be more empathetic, be more emotionally intelligent. One second, let me just do. So emotional intelligence, we say, is the ability to perceive emotions, to access, generate. I mean, this is a typical definition that's there. You all can read it for yourself. But it's talks about how we perceive emotions, how we understand them, how we absorb them, how we use them, and how it impacts our performance, our operation, how we communicate with somebody. All of that together comprises of emotional intelligence. So the different components that are important to know, it's about knowing your emotions, knowing what to do with them. Till the time we don't know what to do with our emotions, how can we function further? Understanding them, and then knowing how we can manage them. That's what emotional intelligence talks about. Who's not receiving? Bradley, are you able to see the visual presentation now? Perfect. Bradley? I can see a message there. Would you like to just log out and log in once again? Yes, you could rejoin. Maybe that helps. Yes, so emotional intelligence talks about how we know our emotions, how we understand them, their meaning, and then we realize what to do with them. So, the 5 components of EI that we're going to be talking about today, the first one is self awareness. Being aware of your own emotions, your feelings, your drives, your behaviors, the effect that they have on you is the first component of emotional intelligence. The second is self regulation. How is it that you're able to manage your own disruptive emotions, to manage the impulses that are there before you take any action? The third is the internal motivation. How much drive and passion do you have to make way beyond what is available to you? The fourth aspect is the social awareness. So, on the left side, as you can see, it's related to the self, how we're aware of our emotions, how we're regulating them, how motivated we are. And on the right side, it talks about our social awareness. How are we relating to another person's emotions? How aware are we of their emotions, feelings, and experiences? What perspective are we able to put in place? Are we able to step into their shoes and understand what they see, understand how they feel? And then it comes to relationship management, how we interact with them, how do we build the relationship with them, how do we build the rapport with them. So these are the 5 components which are extremely important. Now, how do we get more self aware? There has to be a way. We know ourselves till a certain limit, but beyond that, what is it that we can do? So there is this concept known as Johari window. It was developed by Joseph Luft and Harrington Ingham. That's why it's called Johari, Joseph Joe and Harrington Harry. And as per the Johari window, it's a model which helps us understand ourselves better. This model enables us, once again, this model enables us get a picture of our areas which are known to ourselves and which are known to others. So we all have certain areas about ourselves which people know, and we also know. It could be your name, it could be your profession, where you work, what you're good at, some of the skills that everyone knows about. But then comes other areas which are known to self but not known to others. So there are these secret facets that we have. Oh, I'm good at painting. Oh, I'm a really good cook, but people don't know about it because they've never seen me cook or we've never spoken about it. So that's some of your hidden talents. Oh my God, I recently met a friend who was such an amazing singer, but none of us knew about it. It was a hidden talent, but then it became open. Similarly, there are these blind spots that we have. There are certain things that others can see in us, but we cannot see in ourselves. What is that? We might have a certain way of behaving. We might, behave awkwardly in some situations. Some people have a habit of saying, which they themselves are not conscious of, but others can observe that this is happening too much. Some people, while they sit, they shake their leg, but they're not even aware of it themselves. Those are some of the blind spots that one possesses. Why is that happening? We don't know, but it happens, right? So even the reasons that leads to that shaking of the leg is a blind spot, which others could still sense in you, they could see in you. So these are the areas which are unknown to ourselves but known to others. And then is an unknown area that we all possess, which needs to be explored. What is it that's not known to me and that's not known to others? The situations that come up bring that out from you. And the more you can explore yourself and your hidden talents and your potential, you will be able to expand your open area more and more. Because the point of Johari window and understanding this model is to see how can we expand our open self as much as we can, so that the hidden part goes in the open, the blind spots go in the open, and the unknown area can be explore, we can start exploring, and it can also become an open area. That's when we become more self-aware. So, how is it that we can understand and get more inputs in these areas from everywhere? So, we can take feedback from others in order to understand our blind spots. People are ready to give feedback if you're ready to listen to it. So, receiving feedback is one thing which can enable us understand ourselves better, and the more we understand ourselves, the more self-aware we become. The more self-aware we are, the more emotionally intelligent we become, right? So it's about understanding our facets. So there are leaders who go through 360 assessments. What do you think that is for? 360 assessment means getting feedback from your subordinates, from your seniors, from your colleagues, from your clients, from each and every person who you're interacting with 360 degrees. Whether that's your customer, your client, your junior, your colleagues, everybody that you're interacting with. So a lot of leaders do that. That is to become more self-aware, to expand the open area, to get better at what they might not be so good at. So what are those limitations that one has? Then comes the hidden area, which we can start disclosing ourselves. A lot of self disclosure needs to be done there for others to know those hidden talents, those hidden facets of you. And the unknown area, which is going to be a discovery process. So we all have that innate potential, but we're definitely not operating at that potential. So the unknown area is where we need to tap in, where we need to experiment, where we need to explore ourselves and understand what more we can do. What more are we capable of? What more are we good at? And the more we know ourselves, the more we discover ourselves, the more self aware we become. Right? So, when we talk about self awareness, it's important to understand your strengths, your limitations, your emotions, your beliefs, and the motivations that you carry in order to do something. It all starts with you. Till the time we are not in sync with ourselves, till the time we've not understood ourselves to the maximum, we cannot reach out to another person. That social energy, that social synergy will not come because it all starts with me. It depends on the relationship I have with myself. It's how I perceive myself that I will relate to somebody else. It's how I relate to myself that I will relate to somebody else. How I will be perceived by them, and how that behavior and that vicious cycle, which we say, keeps on going, keeps on going, keeps on going. Right? So, and when we talk about being more self aware, we're not evaluating ourselves, we are not blaming ourselves, we are just being more mindful. When we are mindful, we're not labeling it with a right or a wrong. We're not saying that what I'm doing is good, what I'm doing is bad. This is just about being more self aware. Right or wrong is beyond that. We will get there later. We will start identifying it. We will start distinguishing between the good and the bad, between the regulations that we need to do. The first step is to just be aware, a non judgmental awareness of who we are. of how we function, of how we feel, of what makes us feel a certain way, of what could be our trigger. And how do we do that? We catch ourselves. We become more observant, as if we're talking about a third person here. How will that person observe you? So, just becoming more and more aware of yourself. Then comes the regulation aspect. When we talk about regulating our aspect, this is where we manage our emotions, our behaviors, our impulses. I'm angry. I feel like screaming. But is that the right thing to do? A lot of times I might succumb into that and do that. But how I'm able to manage my emotions at that time, hold myself back and pause. If I'm able to take that pause before I respond, if I'm able to take that moment to first fathom my emotions, why I'm feeling a certain way, what is it that I need to communicate? So take a step back, think, reflect. When we pause and reflect, we do not react but respond to situations. There's a huge difference that's there between reacting and responding. So, being emotionally intelligent will ensure that you respond and not react, because reaction happens at the spur of the moment without thinking, without assimilating what has happened, how it's affected you. But when we take a step back, we're able to gauge the situation. We're able to express ourselves and put our point forward tactfully in a way that is important. We're able to recognize our emotions, and we do not let our emotions take over our communication. We do not let our emotions take over to our interaction with anyone that's taking place. It happens at the place of work. You have a deadline coming and there's a lot of pressure. Now, in that pressure, you can either succumb to it, you can either fight with your teammates for not finishing the work on time, or you can actually try to solve the situation there by understanding what all is left and what is the new strategy that you have to make. So, an emotionally intelligent person will form a strategy. But while you're getting carried away by your emotions, you will react with anger. You will react with stress. You will react in a way that you would want to rush things up. And in that rush, you're not able to think clearly. And as a result, a lot of mistakes happen. So, being emotionally intelligent means to be able to strategize in such situations, to think through it, to take that step back, to pause, reflect, and then respond and not react. So, after being self aware, we start regulating our emotions, where we need to do what is important at what time, and how can we communicate that further, which is where the role of social intelligence comes in. When we talk about our interactions with others, when we talk about our relationships with others and how we manage that, that all together combined is called social intelligence. It is that interpersonal competencies which are built on specific neural circuits that inspires others to be effective. So, how can we get the best out of other people is also an important aspect. So, being more aware socially, understanding the emotions and feelings of other people. You know, somebody can come to office with a really bad headache and have a lot on their plate to do. And when they're just given the right listening ear, the entire pain goes away and they're able to perform. On the other hand, if they're not given that listening ear and pressurized or shouted at or spoken badly to, it just triggers all their emotions even more. And it does not help them in any way, it does not enable them to perform. So it's how much can we fathom the emotions of another person? It's raining, you know, and I see someone out there and I say, oh my God, you're all drenched. How bad? Is that going to help the other person? That's just some sympathy that is being given. Oh, I feel bad for you, you're so drenched. On the other hand, if you offer an umbrella or if you offer them to come under your umbrella, that is when an ounce of empathy comes in. Or you direct them to a shaded place where they could stand and not be so drenched. Right? So you're being more respectful of the other person's emotions. And while you see something, you also respond to that with empathy. You're not sympathizing. You're not just showing them that what they're going through is difficult, but you're kind of empathizing with them and giving them the right headspace, the right support, the right direction for them to function. That is where social awareness comes in. When we talk about social intelligence, we talk about social awareness and relationship management together. How much aware are we of another person's emotions? And this is everywhere. It happens every day, every minute. Emotions are all around us, in the people we meet, in our family members. A lot of times we also ignore their emotions. We have something to say and we will put it all out there on them. Right? So that pausing and reflecting and also understanding the state that the other person is in. Maybe the other person's had a stressful day, and when we just bombard them with something, it does not serve them. It makes the situation worse and it also makes their behavior worse. So, understanding what you're trying to achieve and having empathy towards the other person, and then communicating, building relationships, building rapport by providing the right set of solution, the right set of interaction, the right set of empathy to the other person. All that comprises of social intelligence that we were talking about, right? So empathy is extremely important. It is the foundation skills for social competencies, as Daniel Goleman says. Without empathy, we cannot expect the world we want to live in to be the world it is. It's only when we're empathetic towards the other person, when we're able to give them the right listening ear, the right helping hand, just the right set of emotions. At times, just listening is the right empathy. Once we're able to do that, that is when we're able to solve a lot of big problems, which is why we say emotional intelligence, EQ, is more important than IQ. Because everyone can perform the task, but how that task needs to be done, who does it need to be done with, how does it need to be communicated, understanding the layers of emotions under that, leading to that delay in work, all that comes from empathy. So let's watch this video.
Daniel, you talk a lot about empathy in leadership and how important it is, and you bring up different types of empathy, including cognitive empathy and emotional empathy, etc. So can you just give us some insights as to how empathy is so central to leadership success?
Empathy is one of the critical components of social intelligence and leadership abilities. But in the conversation I did with Paul Ekman, who's a world expert on empathy in the Wired to Connect series, I realized that there are three kinds of empathy, and each one of them has strengths that are critical for effective leadership, but in different ways. And some of them have liabilities. The first one is cognitive empathy. That means I understand how you think about things. I can see things from your perspective. And that can be very effective, for example, for giving performance feedback or for communication, because I know how to put it to you in a way that you'll really be able to hear, that makes sense for you. So that's the upside. The downside is the people who only have cognitive empathy and who have twisted motivation, if you will, can use it to manipulate people. If you only care about yourself, you don't care about the other person, you can use that to your advantage. And you see that in narcissistic leaders, you see it in Machiavellian types, you see it in outright sociopaths. They use their understanding of the other person to manipulate them because they don't have the second kind of empathy. The second kind of empathy is emotional empathy. I feel with you. If I don't care about how you feel, then I don't mind making you feel terribly, or I don't mind taking great advantage of you. But if I feel your distress, it's much harder for me to do that. Emotional empathy is also critical for leadership, for any job where you relate to people, client management, sales management, teamwork, because it's the emotional empathy that creates chemistry, that creates the sense of being in rapport with other people, that creates simpatico. And it's in those moments where things go at their best. Top performing teams have this sense of harmony and of emotional connection with each other, for example. So emotional empathy is absolutely critical. However, downside here is that, for example, if you're the person in HR who has to go around and tell everybody that you're fired, or you're a nurse working in pediatric oncology, and you're all day long, you're with children who are in great pain or who are going to die. These are very powerful situations emotionally, and you pick up the distress that other people are feeling. If you can't metabolize that, if you can't manage it yourself, it can lead to a kind of emotional exhaustion, which is a prelude to burnout. And you feel, I've got to get out of this field. I can't do this anymore. So the counter to emotional empathy and what allows you to use it effectively is emotional self-management skills, which is one of the 4 parts of emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is self-awareness, self-management, empathy, and relationship skills. So the different components work together. The third kind of empathy is empathic concern. And this is the felt sense that when I see that you're in trouble, I spontaneously want to help you out. This actually is what makes leaders outstanding. These are the leaders who, for example, take the time to help people develop further strengths. Take the time to give feedback, corrective feedback. They see that and are genuinely concerned about helping people get better, learn to do better. And that, of course, strengthens the capacity of the whole organization. It's also what makes people outstanding organizational citizens. These are the people who aren't just, it's me first, and that's all I care about, but are good team players, are willing to help out other people, and so on. So in this kind of, in a dark time economically, the leaders who will be most effective have all 3 capacities going at full strength.
That's really interesting coming from Daniel Goleman. What sort of empathy do we have? Is it a manipulative empathy? Is it an emotional empathy? Or is it empathetic concern? What is it that we can do? Till which level? Does it come supernaturally to you? just the ability to understand the other person's emotions, to be able to help them. That's what the successful leaders do, which makes them successful because they care about their people. It's people who makes an organization. It's not just the name. Whatever an organization is, it is made by its people. Whatever a family, a household is, it's made by its people. So whether it's your personal life or your professional life, at which level of empathy do you see yourself currently at? And what is it that you can do with the current awareness that you have around empathy? Where would you like to go with the empathy, the pool of empathy that is available? That's what makes us distinguish ourselves and have that sort of relationship, that trust and rapport with people around us. Trust and rapport are two critical parts of any relationship at all. And how do we build that trust? How do we build that rapport? To build that trust, to build that rapport, we genuinely have to care. And for that, we genuinely need to feel it. And that starts from us. How comfortable are we in our own skin? How comfortable are we about ourselves? Brings that out in the relationship we have with ourselves, which eventually impacts the relationship that we have with others. How empathetic are we towards ourselves? Impacts how empathetic are we going to be towards others. Now, that's a food for thought that I would like to leave you all with. What is it that you can do in order to be empathetic? And when we talk about empathy, empathy is incomplete without listening. Another thing that you can do in order to build that rapport, in order to manage those relationships, is listen. A lot of times we just listen with the intent to reply. We know we've heard something and we need to reply. We heard something and we need to reply. But it's important to listen with the intent to understand. We might not have understood it the correct way. So let's first try to understand and then see if we've really understood what they've said, instead of just running to react, running to express ourselves, running to put a point across. How many times do we feel in an interaction we really have the urge to put our point across? So it's important to listen in any interaction that we have. You know, there are different types of listening that we all have at different times. We might be listening selectively. We might just be a little engaged in our gadget, in the message, in the next meeting that we have, in the next call that we have, in the email that just popped in. And we might be selectively listening to the message that's being shared. We might not even have the right eye contact with the person talking to us. So now tell me something. If you are talking to somebody and they are busy in their gadget and they are not making the right eye contact with you, would you even be willing to trust them or make a conversation further with them? Right? So the kind of listening that we expect from others is the kind of listening we need to give to others. Are we listening with the intent to reply? Oh my God, this is what you think, this is what you should do. I'm telling you, I know the solution. The whole world is filled with advice. But a lot of times, that's not what we're looking for. Listening with judgment. Ah, okay. Acha, this is how this person is. Now I know. I don't think she'll be able to finish the job. I don't think she's capable of it. A lot of times, while we're talking to someone, while we're listening to them, there is a judgmental ear that's open. There are these judgmental eyes which are looking and forming that opinion. Right? So, keeping this left side aside, if we have to listen with a fresh perspective, if we want to listen actively to somebody, listen empathetically to their emotions, to what they might be feeling, to what might even be unsaid in the situation, but it shows through their body language, through their tone, there is a lot that we can make out. That is the social awareness that we're looking at. That is the social intelligence which makes us more emotionally intelligent. Having that eye, and that happens when we are fully listening to somebody with our eyes and ears. A lot of times we're able to understand what is not said as well because the body language gives it out. Right? So, keeping all those things in mind is extremely important when we talk about listening, when we talk about emotional intelligence, right? And another way of checking your understanding is by summarizing what you've heard them say and what you've understood out of it. You can paraphrase with your own thoughts, with your own understanding in your own words, and check if this is what they said or not. That is a way of checking, that is the way of confirming that what you've understood is correct and the other person feels good and heard, and they have a say in telling you whether it's correct or it's not, if they need to add something else, if they don't need to add something else. So, what kind of listening ear when can we give to other people to ensure that the communication that we're having is more fruitful, is more empathetically, is more socially intelligent, is more emotionally intelligent? That matters. Because we human beings, we are a being, and a being has all those emotions. Our being has all those feelings. Our being needs nurturing, and so does the other person's. So, what is it that we're able to put forward? What is it that we're able to give forward? That matters. A lot of times we see ourselves caught up, in a web of emotions, and we have a long day ahead of us. We have a full-fledged plan. We have our goals to achieve, right? So, understanding, accepting the emotions that you're going through, even if you don't curb it, accepting it, being more aware of it, right? You're not curbing it, you're just becoming aware of it. And you're setting your intention for the day. What is it that you need to achieve? Now, they're two separate things. You are feeling something, but you also have certain responsibilities that you're going to be completing through the day. So, how is it that you can take care of those emotions at a certain time and take care of those tasks at a certain time without disrupting each, without disturbing each, and giving it the attention that each needs? By clarifying your intention for the day, by setting it out, by practicing some self care. The more that we can practice self care. Today was a really fun day for me. So I have started going out for sound meditation. And today was one of those days that I had like a morning, good 1.5 hours of that meditation. And I came back home and I switched on the TV. And I'm not the kind of person to do that ever. Everyone in my house was just shocked at what did I just do, because morning is my time to work, to get back on track, to start the day. And I just needed those 15 minutes. That's it, 15 minutes to relax and just like be impulsive and do something for myself. And I was amazed at what I did, but it felt good. It was something out of the box, it just happened. Then I got back on track. Then I got back on my day's routine that I had to. But yeah, it was good to kind of take that time out and do that with everyone else having giggles or, you know, laughs at what's happening at what time. But it was good. It was good. So that happened after a deep sound meditation session. And I think we all can just calm ourselves down in some way or the other. We have YouTube for meditations as well. But yes, we should practice some sort of self care by being more aware of our own emotional needs, by being aware of our nurturing needs. We shall be able to achieve beyond leaps and bounds. Because when we're nurtured the way we want, our performance shoots up, right? So always perform an emotional check. How are you feeling? Slow down when you need to. You don't have to rush through it. Slow down. And I'm really happy how the juniors, the little kiddos who are going to school these days, they're already being taught a lot about emotional intelligence. That's what I've experienced, that's what I've seen, and it's great to see. Because these life skills in our generation started getting built up once we started working. In school, there was no focus on all of this. But now you'll see that from nursery, from kindergarten, all these life skills are being nurtured, are being taken care of. I mean, in my son's class, we have characters like Responsible Rami, Tenacious Tina. They're just teaching different values each day. Teamwork Dharma. They're teaching different values. It's so amazing to see that. I was like, dude, these are the things that we're doing, with organizations, with people our age, and you're learning that at a very good age for you to be performing and being more emotionally intelligent. Right? So slow down, get curious. Be curious while interacting with the other person, get curious about yourself, right? Create space for all your emotions. It's okay to feel an emotion. It's okay to feel angry. It's okay to feel frustrated. It's okay to cry. A lot of times as kids, you would hear, don't cry, don't cry, don't cry. But at times it's important to let it out. That's when you'll make room for new emotions. Men don't cry. Oh my God, really? Why? Don't they have emotions? It's about you being able to feel your emotions, you be able to create the space for it. Read the room. When you enter somewhere, there is a vibration that you get. There is a sense that you get. Get the rhythm, understand how the room looks like to you. How does it speak to you? And connect and converse in a way that synergizes or bring your energy to make it better than what it is. Bring your element into it and make an effort to connect. That's extremely important. Right? Without connection, we're nothing. We all need connections. One interesting concept which I want to leave you guys with before I close for today is the Karpman drama triangle. As you can see, there are these three angles that are there in it. One is a persecutor, the other is a rescuer, and the third is a victim. So just like in any movie, we have an actor, we have a hero, we have a villain, we have a victim, right? Similarly. Now, this is what happens in a lot of interactions. We get caught in this drama. There's one person who's dominant, trying to dominate, trying to tell the other person, you're wrong, you did wrong. This is not how it's supposed to be done. The other person becomes a victim. Oh my God, I'm so bad. I can't do this. And then there's a third person trying to rescue that victim and trying to be the good one out there, right? So just think about it. Where all does such interactions happen? Somebody comes and bombards. You did not do this right. You're horrible. You're pathetic. That person becomes the victim, and then somebody comes and tries to save that person. No, 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 no. This is not true. This is not what you did. I'm the hero. I'm going to save you. Right? So, the moment you see yourself taking the role of a persecutor or a rescuer or a victim, you know you're in the drama. You know you're caught up in the drama. That's not how a powerful conversation should be taking place. It's when you can remove yourself from the stance. Because the moment one becomes a persecutor, the other becomes a victim, the third becomes a rescuer. This drama keeps on continuing. The roles might change. You might be a persecutor one day, might be a rescuer the other, might be a victim the other day. But the point is to catch yourself and be more emotionally intelligent and aware of which role are you playing. And when you catch yourself in this vicious circle, because the moment you take one role, other people will take the other two roles, right? You break that triangle, you break that drama, and you take another role of somebody who can communicate more empathetically in a more intelligent fashion. How is it that you can put your point forward without being a persecutor, without having to rescue the other person? Because the moment you try to rescue someone, you make them a victim whether they want to become or not. So how can you, while giving them the power, have a healthy, powerful conversation, an empathetic conversation, by not making them a victim? Right? That is some food for thought I would like to leave you all with today. I think that's enough from my side. If there are any questions, I'm more than happy to answer. Bradley has written, this is fascinating. I believe we should also explore emotional regulation in context of self-expression, particularly in remote work environments. Individuals may struggle to express their feelings effectively in virtual spaces, which can exacerbate issues within quadrant 2, hidden unknown to others, of the Johari window. This may often lead to poor emotional chemistry and strained team dynamics. What strategies can individuals use to improve emotional expression in virtual spaces? Absolutely, that's a wonderful question. And to answer the strategies that one can use in order to, have better interactions in virtual spaces, firstly, keeping the camera on. That's extremely important. A lot of times people feel that because it's a virtual platform, we can be without camera. Keeping the camera on and connecting on a regular basis, not when it's a fight or a flight response, not when it's the need of the hour, but in general, having healthy team meetings or peer meetings that you need to have, and connecting with each other on the work, on what situation each one is, on how it is working from home. If it's a virtual environment and you are, and giving each other that comfort of being there, right? So communicating even without any reason, having a ritual of communicating. When COVID happened, that was the first time we all got into this whole gamut. And I remember how some organizations were, making it like a dress up day each day differently, to kind of get everyone enticed and excited for the day. Because while you're sitting and working from home, you're really not doing much. You might not even have a bath, and you might just sit down on your laptop and be working, right? So to be more creative. So make it a ritual to have your team meetings or peer meetings, have healthy interaction, understand the world of the other person. How is it for them to be working the way they're working? And any interaction, keep your camera on. That's extremely important. I hope that answers your question. Anything else? I'm more than happy to answer. We have Lucas also. He's written, don't be a persecutor, give constructive feedback and understand people make mistakes and they think and do things differently to us. Amazing. That's amazing to hear, Lucas. Don't get into a victim role. Try understanding your situation rather than blaming yourself or others for your present. Don't be a rescuer. If you want to help, you can offer support by letting others finding their own answers. Remind them of the tools they have or let them see their strengths with examples. Amazing, Lucas. That is an amazing summary of the whole thing. I'm really happy to see that. Bradley, does that answer your question, or would you have anything else to say? Yes, your answer was very helpful. I believe emotional empathy can be quite challenging in leadership roles. It can be a double-edged sword. While being empathetic helps to regulate the social atmosphere, being overly empathetic at times may allow subordinates or team members to manipulate their leader. This raises important questions. Where should leaders draw the line when it comes to empathizing? It's important for a leader to be assertive at all times, whether they're being empathetic or not. Empathy is extremely important, but with empathy, being assertive is extremely important. So, as you very rightly said, drawing that line, you can be available, you're there to let them reach out in order to help them. But on the other hand, you also know the boundaries that are there and the responsibilities that need to be accomplished. So being able to be assertive along with that empathy, along with having that general concern, is what can make a leader not be taken for granted, not be swallowed into those emotions when you're actually just seeing from outside and communicating from the outside. However, you're there to experience their world, you're ready to step into their shoes, but you have to get back to your shoes to take that stance. What are the signs that you're being overly empathetic? That is a really interesting question. When you're being overly empathetic, so is someone able to take you for a ride? Or have you gotten so carried away in the emotions that you can cry your heart out into what you're feeling? You put yourself in their shoes to understand their situation, but have you become their situation? Now that's the difference. You understand their situation, but do not become it. Do not take it on you. Do not take anyone's emotions onto you and get so affected by it. Then you won't be able to help them from the outside. I hope that answers your question, Bradley. Thank you, Bradley. I'm glad it does. Any other questions? All right, then over to you, Anjali. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for that insightful session for us. I think connecting with self is really important in today's world. It's what we lose out on almost all the time. So thank you for that. So, yeah, there are a few announcements here. So, in January, we'll be having Sonam again, helping us with the art and science of coaching. That would be her topic for the coming session. So please join in at that point for us. Don't miss out on the learning and the growth that will happen through it. Book your spot. There will be the link sent into the chat box, so please look in there, you'd find it. Also, please join us at the APO Global community on LinkedIn. You will find like-minded people as well in that community, so join in there as well. All the participants here will be receiving the recording for this session, and it would be also on APO YouTube channel. Thank you, participants, for being a part of this and making it a success. There will be a feedback poll at the end, so kindly be kind enough to give in your insights. Stay motivated for the coming year, and we'll see you for the next seminars. Thank you. Thank you so much, Sonam.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.